Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got this question about whether or not sweat equity can pay off, which I think this is kind of interesting. I've thought about this quite a bit, and I think a lot of people today are really of the mindset, especially in the startup world, it's been sort of glamorized that they think that if they put in all the sweat equity that they're going to cash out someday. So let me read you the question. I'll give you my answer here. It is from CB, and he says, with many startups, they want people to work for sweat equity with the promises of a job after they get funded or down the road. Can sweat equity pay off? Is it worthwhile to look at? Why or why not? Who should or shouldn't do sweat equity? And let me see, it's got some additional info. He says, I'm seeing a lot of startups that are asking me to work for sweat equity. Many of them aren't even funded or promising a job if I work for free for 3 months. So, I mean, there's a few different classifications here. So this is even worse than what I had mentioned at the beginning of this video. I would not, okay, there's a lot of startups, right? A lot of companies that get created. Not very many of them make it to, not many of them get funded, first of all. And of the ones that get funded, not many of them actually end up going public or being acquired or making a lot of money. Most of them shut down, okay? Even the good ones. So the chances of, like, and this is where, you know, if you look at it from the investor's perspective, that's what you should really be doing. Because when you're doing sweat equity, what you're doing is you're investing. Okay, you're essentially investing. It's the same thing as investing money. You're just getting paid. You're just taking the money that you would get paid and you're putting it into that company because you don't have money. You're using time. Time is money, right? This is a translatable skill. If you're worth $150 an hour and you spend 10 hours of time, that's $1,500 that you just put into the company. You've invested into that company. So you got to think of it that way and think about what investors do, right? So when companies are just getting started, when they're pre-funding, they usually go through a round of angel investing, right? They usually have angels. And those angel investors are investing small amounts, okay? And their chance of making money is very, very small, right? A lot of times angel investors are doing it for the fun, or they're inexperienced investors. Sometimes they are experienced investors. I don't want to say that, you know, I don't want to use that lightly, but a lot of times it's not the big leagues, okay? It's not the serious stuff, but they have potential high return, extremely high return, but they have extremely high risk. An angel investor, most of their money is going bye-bye, right? They're never going to see that money again. Now, when you get up to the investor level of, let's say you're raising a round, let's say a Series A round or something like that, and you've got investment bankers and you've got these big companies that are investing, at that point, their returns aren't quite as good, but their risk is lower because they might be revenue already. There might be already revenue. Sometimes they'll invest pre-revenue, and I guess that's more frequent now, but a lot of times the good strategic investments are going to be post-revenue, when it's a profitable company and they're investing to grow the company. So the reason why I'm saying that, and I'm not going to get into all the details of startups and the startup world. It's fairly complex, and we can get a lot of arguments about that. But what I'm trying to make you see is this: is that essentially, whether you're an angel investor, investment banker, you know, strategic investor, and you're trying to make money, what you're doing is you're spreading out your chips, right, on the roulette table on all the different numbers, bunch of different numbers, okay? And you're hoping when someone spins that sucker that one of them's going to hit, and you're going to get paid like 100 to 1 odds or 1,000 to 1 odds on one of those bets, but you're expecting to lose most of the bets. As a person, as a developer, as a resource, you have to view your time as money. And so essentially what you're doing is you're taking a bunch of time, you're taking a bunch of money, and you're putting your roulette wheel, right? You're putting it all on 21 black, or, you know, whatever it is, 18 red, whatever it is, right? I don't play roulette, but and you're hoping that one number when you spin that wheel is going to hit, and if it doesn't, you bust, you get nothing. So think of it that way. So, and it's most likely that it's not going to happen, and most likely you're not going to predict it. And the thing is, even if it's a great idea, okay, it can go bust. Even if it's a great idea and a great team, it could go bust, right? You know, that's the thing, is like you can't control all these factors, and you know what's going to happen with the market. There's a lot of things that are working against you. The chances are that if you had to bet on a startup, it is going to fail. So it's not a good idea to do this, especially if you're going to work for sweat equity for 3 months and not get paid. Now, if you're going to do this on the side, okay, as a side project, and you're going to get some other benefits out of this, like you're going to be working on a project, you're going to be getting some stuff on your resume, you enjoy the work, you believe in the cause or the company, and you think it'll be fun. Sure. Okay. Go ahead and maybe run a couple of these, right? If you can do that, 3 months. Oh, that one busted. Fine. I'll do another one in 3 months. You got to pull the eject lever real quick, though, right? If you don't see this going anywhere, you don't see it taking off. Bam! Hit that eject button so that you can place a bunch of bets on that roulette table, and eventually maybe you'll hit. So that's where I would come from there. But if you don't have that opportunity, understand that the risk that you're taking here, right? Most likely you're just flushing that time and money. Essentially, the time is money down the toilet, because most likely nothing is going to happen, right? You got to really think about this before you do, because here's the thing. You've got one life and you've only got so much time, right? And so where are you going to devote that time, right? Now, some people are watching TV. Okay, so they're wasting their time watching TV and going out and partying and drinking and whatever, and just blowing their life away. And so it doesn't matter where they're investing their time. Fine. But if you're being smart and you're strategic, you've only got so much time. You've only got so many projects you can invest in. You've only got so many companies. You've only got so many extra hours that you can work after work. If you're trying to hit some goals, if you're trying to hit some financial goals, if you're trying to become financially independent, if you're trying to retire early, if you're trying to hit these things, you got to be very careful where you spend that time, right? That productive time. And you want to make sure that it's going to have a return for you, right? That's why I'm a very big proponent of doing things like building a personal brand, marketing yourself, building a blog, right? Doing things that have lasting value, building your own business, things like that, where you have control. A bootstrap business it has a lot more chance of success, where you have control over that, and especially if you're starting that part-time. So I don't want to go on a tangent off on that. I will talk about real quick about the other side of it. So let's talk about a lot of you that want to work for startups, and you're going to get paid a salary, but it's a lower salary, and you're essentially getting sweat equity, because once they get big funding, right, or they make it big, or you're thinking that you're going to hit this lottery ticket, then you're going to make a lot of money, and it'll be worth working those 90-hour weeks and all that stuff. No, same exact thing applies here, right? The chance of success is still extremely low. It's probably a little bit higher, but it's still extremely low. And here's the thing, as an investor, right? They're going to put money into multiple companies, okay, and they can give them all a shot and see what happens in the next 5 years. Maybe they invest in 100 companies, or even 5 or 10 companies, depending on how they distribute their risk, right? But as a developer working for a company, right, if you devote 5 years of your life and 90-hour weeks to some startup, and that it doesn't hit the lottery, you're going to be left with holding the bag. What are you going to have to show for that? And you're going to have wasted 5 years of your life and not have that time. So I don't take that bet. I would not take that bet, right? Unless you're just totally sold on the idea, unless you are one of the founders of the company, right, and you have the actual ability to make this succeed or not. And even then, it's an extremely high risk. Like, you only should do this if you have to do this because you're an entrepreneur at heart and you have to create something big that changes the world. Otherwise, bootstrapping, being an entrepreneur like I am with Simple Programmer is a better choice that has a much higher chance of success, and there's still no guarantees there. There's still a huge risk. Or just go work. If you're going to be an employee, don't work for the startup hoping to get the lottery ticket. Go and work and make the most money, advance your career, worry about that stuff. Don't try to take this one shot, because there's a lot of stories of Mark Zuckerberg's and Sergey Brin and all those Google and Facebook and all this stuff out there, but there's a lot more stories of failures, and that's more likely that what's going to happen. So you got to be realistic here, and you got to realize that you've only got so much time, and you got to make the most of it. So I'm really negative towards the whole startup culture. I feel like it's been overly glamorized, and that it's sort of misleads young people who think that they're going to be rich by doing this, and don't realize that they are basically buying a scratch card, a lottery ticket that has a very, very low probability of a payoff, and they're paying a huge price for that. Right now, if you're in the right place at the right time and you get lucky and you're working hard, and you do have some equity in one of these huge companies, sure, maybe if you're in there early employee on Uber or Facebook or something, and you got a bunch of stock options, it could be worth a whole ton of money. But the chances of that happening are so low. It's more likely what's going to happen is you're going to spend 5 years of your life working ridiculous hours and feel burnt out. Now, you will get some experience from that, of course, that you'll take with you, but I would rather spend those 5 years in a more profitable place than to hope for, I guess that's what I'm saying. What it all boils down to is this. If you are counting on one of these startups making you rich, and that's why you're going to sacrifice 3 months of your life unpaid, or that's why you're going to sacrifice 5 years of your life working 80, 90-hour weeks at a lower pay than what you should, don't do that. Right? If there's a different reason why you're doing this, because you think it'd be fun, because you enjoy it, because this is what lights you up, totally, that's great. And then the bonus is that you have a lottery ticket as well. Great. I'm not going to tell you what to do there, but don't do it expecting to get rich. If you want to get rich, invest, be smart, right? I watch my videos, I'm serious, about real estate investment. That's like a guaranteed way to do it. It's going to take time, it's going to take hard work, but that's a guaranteed way. Or start your own business and bootstrap it and become an entrepreneur and put in the time and the effort to do that. That will also have a high chance of success. But don't play the startup lottery. You're going to be sad if you do. If you like this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button. I give a lot of career advice, philosophy, do about 2-3 videos a day. I'd like to help you to improve your life, to improve your career, and to improve in any area that I can as I share